Hi there, and welcome to the Weekly Garden Roundup. I'm Sean.
And I'm Allison, and here's what's happening in gardening this week. First, the USDA hardiness zone map update. Is it still useful, and should you be concerned?
Are you looking for new perennials to add to your garden to attract more pollinators? We have 5 brand new shrubs from proven winners that you should add to your list.
Edimentals, what are they, and why are they all the rage this year?
Are you still looking for garden gift ideas? We have 7 gifts that would be perfect to get for that gardener on your list.
And lastly, we'll break down the top 5 garden topics watched by you on our channel this week.
Just a few weeks ago, in mid-November, the USDA hardiness zone map was updated. Instead of only using about 8,000 weather stations data to calculate the average lowest temperature for each zone on the hardiness zone map, they ended up using almost 14,000 data points from different weather stations around the United States. This totally updated and makes the hardiness zone map a lot more accurate. For example, if before the update you were gardening in zone 8A, you could be now gardening in a whole half zone higher in 8B, depending on where you are on the map and if your temperature ranges have changed over the last 30 years. So with the update to the hardiness zone map, you might be asking yourself, is it still useful to use in your garden and to select plants to grow in your garden? I would say yes, it is. And that is because it's a foundation for you to start from to know in your area if a plant will survive your average lowest temperatures based on the last 30 years of data. And that data is a lot more accurate because there's so much more of it. Overall, this is a great update and this will be super useful. Allison, do you think different gardeners out there should be concerned about this update for their gardens?
Well, I do actually, because it's something to be aware of, especially if you grow bulbs like we do. We love growing bulbs. That's just one example. Knowing your lowest minimum temperature of your area and what hardiness zone you fit into, I think it's just something that we all should know as gardeners, because then we know the limits of whatever plant we want to grow. So I think you should be concerned about knowing, just having that information, right? So you know what you can grow in your yard.
Yes.
There's so many other factors other than just the lowest minimum temperature though, right?
And this is a good foundation to start from to make sure that we're successful in growing plants in our garden.
It's interesting to note, like for us, our zone actually changed. It went up a half a zone. Now we live in a kind of a microclimate within zone 8B, which is what we used to be. Now we've bumped up to 9A. We live right by the Puget Sound, where our garden is right by the Puget Sound, right? That's kind of its own little microclimate.
All the new data, it did affect our garden, and we're part of that 50%. If you live in a certain microclimate, please take that into consideration when looking at the new updated hardiness zone map, and make sure that you factor that in when you're choosing your plant.
For those of you watching, let us know in the comments, has your zone changed? And let us know what you think about it. Are you concerned about it? Is it really not that big of a deal?
Now, if you're wondering if your grow zone has changed on the hardiness zone map, definitely check out the link down below in the description, and you can enter in your zip code and see if your grow zone has changed.
Next on our list for the weekly garden news roundup, 5 new beautiful perennials that you need to add to your garden. We're all looking to add new perennials to our garden, especially if we've been gardening for a while, and all of these perennials have different characteristics and features that we think you're really going to like. So let's get started. First, who likes roses? This is a brand new addition from this new line they're calling Flavorette, and this is honey apricot. This is a gorgeous rose, and you guys, it smells so amazing. Sean and I had a chance to actually see this in person this past summer at the Spring Meadow Nurseries, and we're actually now growing it in our own garden. This rose hybrid has this gorgeous peachy, kind of almost yellowish color, as you can see here. Hardy in zones 4 through 8. This new rose will grow to a height of 5 to 8 feet tall, and you can use it in so many ways. We're actually really excited to add it to some type of trellis system in the future. You could grow it in a container, you could use it as a border plant, lots of options. Plus the pollinators are gonna love it. And what Proven Winners wants you to know about this plant is that it not only is it edible, because as most roses are edible, it's meant to be this mix between beauty and fragrance and just edibility. So it has a lot of uses, and if you like roses, we think you're really gonna like this one. Next up is this beautiful new gardenia called Pillow Talk, which is a Gardenia jasminoides, and it's fragrant, it has a gorgeous white flower, it's hardy in zones 7 through 10. Now this gardenia is going to grow best in part sun to full sun. and it will grow to a mature height of 2.5 to 3.5 feet tall. This evergreen shrub will start blooming its white blooms in the spring, and it will add winter interest with its foliage with its evergreen leaves. It was bred to have a wider than tall habit, so it would be really pretty in the front of like a border because it would spread. Next up is a hydrangea for you hydrangea lovers like we are. This is called pufferfish. It's a hydrangea paniculata. It's going to bloom in summer through fall, and it's a long blooming hydrangea, as most of the Proven Winners lines are. Now this is a fun new hydrangea that's going to bloom with this huge white puffy flower, and it's going to sort of age to this beautiful lime green. And then, as they say on their website, a little surprise, it'll bloom white again at the very tip of the bloom. So that's kind of fun. Now this paniculata is hardy in zones 3 through 8, and it's going to grow best in a full to part sun kind of location. It'll grow to a mature height of 3 to 5 feet tall. Next up, another shrub we are super excited to tell you about. This is called El Nino Desert Orchid. This is a catalpa. This catalpa is a hybrid between two North American native plants, a desert orchid and a catalpa. What they got from this cross is flowers that bloom and they almost kind of look like a mix between an orchid or a snapdragon. This catalpa should grow to a mature height of 5 to 8 feet tall. Now we saw one in full bloom this past summer again at the Spring Meadow Nursery, and its flowers were absolutely gorgeous and covered with pollinators. So we're very excited to add this to our own garden, and we think you would really like this as well. Now this is a Hibiscus syriacus, or otherwise known as a rose of Sharon. This is a very beautiful plant that's going to grow very tall, up to 8 to 10 feet tall. This is a summer bloomer which will grow best in part to full sun locations, and it could be a great option for any of your pollinator gardens. Another beautiful trait or feature of this plant is it has beautiful variegated foliage. Now the flowers are going to be a light purple, so it's a really nice contrast with the flower color. There are several ways you could use this plant in your garden. You could use it as a hedge, or you could plant it in the back of your pollinator garden to add that height. So those are the 5 new perennials we wanted to bring to your attention, and we have the honor of growing all of these for the first time this year, so we're really excited to see them in our garden. So I'm wondering, which one are you most excited about?
Well, I'm most excited about the El Nino Catalpa. That just sounds like a beautiful plant. What a great cross. And we get to grow it in our garden and see how it does out here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm really excited about that.
I would have said that one too. The El Nino just has such a beautiful, unusual looking flower, but I'll go with the rose. And the reason why is because, you guys, I'm not kidding, this rose smelled amazing. I smelled it for like 5 minutes. I couldn't leave the area. It just had this vanilla kind of apricot smell. I can't even describe it.
Very sweet.
It was so sweet.
Very strong.
And another reason I'm excited is because it's a brand new rose to kind of experiment with. We've only ever grown maybe 1 or 2 roses that we didn't really do a lot with. They were in the old yard. So I'm kind of excited to see.
Yeah, brand new rose.
Brand new rose, yeah.
Which one of these 5 do you like most? And let us know down in the comments.
I know, and if you want to know a little more information about each of these plants, just check the links down in our description.
Next, are you still looking for those perfect gift ideas for that gardener on your list? We've got 7 great garden gifts for you, and let's start off with our very first one, the Garden Guru Hand Tools set. And it can either be a set of 3 different hand tools or 6. The 3-piece set is a transplanter, a cultivator, and a trowel. All of these tools are made from stainless steel. Now the 6-piece set lets you do a lot more out in your garden. They're still hand tools, but you have a lot more options, including a little metal hand rake, a hand weeder, and an actual tiller. Now, whether that gardener is looking for just a couple hand tools to augment anything else they have already, or they need a complete new set and they need all these 6 tools, this would be a great garden gift for them. The next garden gift we want to tell you about is from Smart Pots, and this is their raised bed planter. Now, this is a really fun gift because this makes gardening available anywhere you go and in really tight quarters too, in tight spaces. This garden bed comes in 6-foot, 8-foot, and 12 feet lengths. Now our next garden gift is from the Bellingham Glove Company, and these are their bamboo gloves. They're actually made in part by real bamboo. So this is an environmentally friendly product, and it's environmentally sourced, so it's renewable, and that makes it a great gift for anybody that needs really tough gloves but also wants to do their part for the environment. Now, if the gardener on your list actually wants to grow plants during the wintertime and grow them indoors, we have the perfect gift for them. It's a hydroponic growing system made by a Hope Garden, and it allows you to grow 10 different plants right in this contained unit. It comes with its own LED lights, and it's a hydroponically growing system, so it grows from water. Now you can grow herbs, you can grow vegetables, you can grow other flowering plants if you want to, and this makes it fun so you can take care of and nurture these plants indoors during those really cold winter months. So the next garden gift we have on our list is the Little Dibby and the Dibby XL Dual Pack. These were created for the new gardener or novice gardener in mind that wants to plant their seeds at the right depth every time, and so we're selling them in double packs with the big and small sizes, so whether you have big seeds or small seeds, or you find that dexterity of either size the best in your hand, you can plant your seeds no matter what. So the next garden gift on our list is from Corona, and these are their hand pruners. These are their classic cut hand pruners. These are some of the original hand pruners that they came up with, and you can get this hand pruner along with its leather sheath, so they come as a pair, and this would be the perfect gift for that gardener that needs to do a lot of pruning or snipping of either limbs or flowers out in their garden. Now, our very last garden gift for that gardener on your list is the all-perennial seed pack from Eden Brothers. This package of seeds has 10 essential perennials that are actually wildflowers that you can spread throughout your garden and enjoy them from year to year from that point on. Now, the seed pack has in it Sweet William, it has lance leaf coreopsis, Shasta daisies, black-eyed Susans, perennial blue flax, purple coneflower, Siberian wallflower, blanket flower, candy tuft, and perennial lupin. So many different kinds of flowers, perennial flowers, that you can give as a gift as seeds to that gardener on your list. So now, which one of these garden gifts on the list would you actually pick for that new gardener?
Well, this is kind of a tough one because I mean, there's a lot of good gifts for new gardeners, right? Or even more experienced gardeners. I think it would probably be maybe the tool set, because maybe they don't have one yet. I mean, it's probably like, you know, your gardener and what they need, right?
Yeah, usually a lot of new gardeners, they kind of piecemeal things together, especially their tools. So one new set that everything matches and is all new all at once, the same age, that might be helpful.
And I would probably go with the 6-piece. That's just me. I'd like to get more options, you know, it's more fun. But I mean, if you wanted to kind of mix and match a couple things off the list, I think the perennial seed collection from Eden Brothers with all the seeds, and then like our shameless self-promotion, but our dibbies, I think with the seed planting capability and the ability to be able to, like, you know, get the right depth every time. I think those two together would be a really fun gift.
Oh yes. I would definitely pick the dibbies, that dual pack, and the seeds as a gift to give. Now we want to hear from you. Which one of these 7 garden gifts would you like to get as a gardener?
Next up on our weekly garden news roundup is a term that you might not have heard of before, but I bet you might be familiar with the concept, especially if you've been gardening for a while. This is Edimentals. What are Edimentals and why are they trending for 2024? According to a few different gardening sources, Edimentals are on the rise and are about to trend in next year for 2024. Edimentals are simply kind of what they sound like. It's sort of a fun play on words, edible and ornamentals. So if you're thinking of gardening and garden design, you're thinking plants that actually are edible, but also look really pretty in the garden. This term was actually coined by a Norwegian author, a man named Stephen Barstow, who wrote a book that sounds kind of interesting actually, titled Around the World in 80 Plants, an edible perennial vegetable adventure for temperate climates. And again, he coined this term. So it's a fun word. It kind of evokes images of, I don't know, I think of lavender and salvia and things that are beautiful plants that are perennial. So we're not thinking of the annual blooming edible type plants. We're thinking of perennials, those hardy, tough plants that come back year after year. And they're beautiful. They have blooms that attract pollinators, which is a big part of Edimentals. And then they're edible. You can add them to whatever dishes you want to, you know, cook with. So there's so many examples and fun ways that you can design with Edimentals in your garden. And we just thought it would be fun for you to know about. You might start hearing about it more often as we're getting closer or into next spring in 2024. Okay, so those are the kind of the highlights and the features of a perennial Edimental garden.
Wow,
so I know,
really
what do
cool.
you think?
Love it. I love having the idea of being able to use any kind of ornamental that has this filter through it where you can use it for adding to your dishes and even different food sources. I think it's a great way to augment your garden too, in case you need to grow your own food for whatever reason. Now you know if you built your garden, designed it this way, you can go out into your garden and go grocery shopping.
And that's kind of, it brings me to the point, like, is this really anything new, or are us gardeners kind of just reclassifying something that we've already been doing?
I think it's a new way to design with your garden. It's being aware of using these aspects of certain plants to then augment our food source. We're being more intentional using edimentals in our garden, and I think that's important too, and being aware of that and just being present with that in mind.
I love that. And I love the image. I mean, most of those plants are some of our favorites on our list anyway. So if you want to learn a little bit more and read deeper on or about edimentals, check out the 2 articles we have linked in our description. And let us know down below what you think about edimentals and if it's something that you would add into your garden design.
Now for the top 5 garden topics watched on our channel this week. So at the very top of our list is the topic of winter seed sowing. Next is how to overwinter potted mums.
After that comes deadheading gladiolus, which is pretty cool, pruning panicle hydrangeas.
And the very last topic viewed this week was drilling holes in plastic containers. So that's it for this weekly garden roundup. Make sure to comment down below on all the different topics that we covered, and make sure to subscribe and like for more of our content.
Stay tuned, we'll have a new Garden News weekly roundup coming at you next week.
Until then, bye.
Bye everybody.